This is the Andrew Connect Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of this podcast, a special one because my guest is Philip Boosey, a tennis fan, a Romanian tennis fan. Not so a fan of Romanian tennis, but he's American and he manages on Twitter and Instagram some WTA Romania accounts and accounts that. How did you come up with this idea? How did you fall in love with Romanian tennis? Because you do a great job of promoting it, and you're a foreigner, and I think that's unique.
Yeah, that's actually two different stories. So, I guess I'll go with first how I became a Romanian tennis fan. Like I said, a fan of Romanian tennis because I myself actually am American and live in Florida. I started watching tennis in 2007. I was in the hospital, and the TV in my hospital room had this weird remote where I could only go, it only went up through the channel listings. So, if I was changing the channels, I could only go up like 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, if I was looking for something to watch and I accidentally skipped over I had to go through all 100 channels or whatever they had. And I got tired of having to go through everything, and Wimbledon was on, and it was a Wimbledon final. And it just so happened that was a Federer-Nadal match, which is one of the greatest matches of all time, is that Federer-Nadal Wimbledon final. And so that got me watching tennis. And it was great because it was a nice, long, 6-7 hour match. So I didn't have to change a channel. And then it was one of the best matches of all time. So it was the perfect thing to get introduced to tennis. And then after that, I started watching the women. And I actually ended up liking the women more because the matches were shorter. Because once I was home and everything and back to normal after being in the hospital, I liked the women 3-set matches and I liked the style better. So I started watching women. And what I've always been a sports fan. So for me to get really invested into a sport, I like to have my favorite team or my favorite player. And when that happened was Indian Wells 2015. And so it was a couple years later when I decided to get really serious into tennis. It was Indian Wells 2015, and that was Simona Halep versus Elena Yankovic in the final then. And so this is so perfect, aligning of the planets. I knew Darren Cahill because I'd watched ESPN and he was doing commentary. So I was listening to him talk about Simona. They weren't really official coach and players together yet. And so I knew him, and he was talking about Simona in that year and all the accomplishments. I think she won Dubai that year or Doha. I always get those two confused because they go back and forth which one's the higher tier. But she had just won I think 2 tournaments that year already. So she was one of the top players. And then she played amazing in that final, coming back in a 3-set and winning Indian Wells in 2015. And I loved how she played, and she had this great pride of being Romanian and everything. And there's there's that Romanian crowd and plenty of flags in the stands and everything. And so I decided to start following her just because of how well Darren was talking about her being one of the best players. Because if you're going to follow somebody, you want to follow somebody who wins. It sucks watching someone who loses. So all I really knew is she wins a lot. She won this tournament, and the commentators are talking very highly of her. So I started watching her, and I think at that year she even got all the way up to number 2 in the world. And so I really also loved seeing how much the Romanian fans in the crowd, at every stadium she went to in every tournament, they were there. And then whenever she wins, she'd always thank her Romanian fans, and she'd always talk about her Romanian pride. And I really liked that. As an American, I don't know, we're really, especially in tennis, there's not much American support. There's not much excitement for American players. So the back and forth relationship Simona has with the crowd just was really enticing. I liked that. And that got me to wonder to learn more about Romanian, because in America, Romania is not a country you ever really hear about. I hate to be stereotypical, but all you hear about is Dracula or vampires, Transylvania. That's what you hear about Romania, and that's it. So I knew literally zero about Romania. So I decided I like this player. I'd like to know more about her and her country. And so I also started watching other Romanian players, and they all, I mean, none of them are as great as Simona. She's a once in a lifetime type player, but I could see how, like her, they fought really hard. Like Sorana Cirstea, even she was like just coming back from a shoulder surgery back then, but you could see she was trying really hard and play. You could see her spirit and determination when she played even back then, right after surgery. And at the time I learned she was like her serve was completely changed because of her shoulder, and then Arena Begu, who was doing better in doubles at that time, and Monica Nicolescu, like all these players had their own personalities, but they shared like the fiery spirit. And I could, which was something I loved in Simona, so I could also see in these other players. And so as I learned about the other players and saw, and then of course, anytime they all get together is really exciting, and seeing the friendships like uh, Simona and Arena Begu have been friends since they've been like 11, playing as kids in Bucharest, and like learning like all the histories and stuff is just made watching the matches even more exciting as you know more about the actual players. And so I started making friends on Twitter, Romanian fans, like actual Romanians, unlike me, fans who would teach me also stuff and teach me Romanian words. And like when they say hi day or hi on the mat during the match, it means like their version of like come on or let's go. And so teaching me stuff like that. And one of the friends I made actually gave me the idea or the suggestion of starting WTA Romania. That's where this comes in. Back in 2017, I was like most people on Twitter and tennis. I'd post like videos of stuff that got me excited during matches, or post gifs and stuff. And it was almost always Romanian players because that's what I was focused on. Because like, so I like to pick a team or a player to follow, and it was always. And she came up with the idea like, you're doing this for yourself already. Why not make like an actual fan account rather than your personal account? Maybe more people see that, and because you're already doing all this stuff for yourself, why not share this information? There is no like Romania account for all the players. Like there are a lot of fan accounts for just Simona Halep or Angelique Kerber or Serena Williams fan accounts, but there isn't really one for all the Romanian players where you can give them information for all the players, and maybe even people who are only fans of Simona who are Romanian might learn about the other players we have and learn about them too, and help them get more popular and even in their home country and stuff. And since you're doing all this for yourself, watching all the matches for all the Romanian players, why not share that with anybody else who might want to? And so I did it. I asked her if she wanted to help me with it. She's like, no, I don't really have the time, but you're already doing it for yourself. So why not, do it for everybody and share that? And so in 2017, I started the account. I've had some ups and downs, but it's been pretty constant. It's the main thing I work on every day, thankfully, because I have to stay home every day in my personal life. So it's easy to watch and record matches and stuff, no matter where in the world they are, because the time zones are really crazy. Every week they're in a different part of the world. And so like in Australia, 16 hours difference, or like the Transylvania Open, when that comes up, that'll be 7 hours difference. So one week is, one part like now is weird. Indian Wells is 3 hours behind me, but last week was US Open, which was the same time as me. And so I decided to share the information, and I was actually surprised. It was nice to also meet more Romanian fans. That's one of my favorite parts of it, is people messaging, asking me questions, and then getting to know me like you have, asking me questions and stuff. And so it would be even actually more invested in the account, as I've also met a bunch of the players now. I've gotten the attention of players because, it is so unique what I do. Simona is one of the top players. I don't mean to exaggerate, but ever, being, yes, one of the best Romanian players easily, but I think one of the best ever in general, especially given her size and everything. So of course she gets plenty of attention, but the other players don't. And so like I've gotten to meet and cultivate friendships with the players, and then also fans, and connect the two. Sometimes people ask me questions about players, and I'll say some of these players, they're not hugely popular. So you can just message them, and I'll say, hey, send Gabby Rousset a message on Instagram. She might answer you and stuff. So it's the two things: getting in love with tennis, and then getting in love with Romanian players, and then just sharing the information I was giving myself anyways, is how it all came to be.
So it's interesting. You fell in love with the Romanian culture, if you want to call it like that. And you said you started the account in 2017, so 4 years since that. You have 3,900 followers on Twitter and 300 and 200, I think, 3,200 on Instagram. But what I think it's outstanding, it's not only the tremendous work that you put into this, but the thing in Romania, Twitter is probably the least popular social media app.
Yeah. Yeah. I started Twitter because here in America, Twitter, I have learned, is much bigger in America than it is in Romania. So yeah, that same friend then said, you should probably start an Instagram. And so I did, and actually back in 2018 was when I was at my highest. I actually had 11,000 followers on my Instagram, and it got shut down, which sucked. And I've been rebuilding ever since, and I'm not back that high, but I got shut down for posting videos from Wimbledon, which is a big no-no, which I didn't know at the time. And the slams are much more aggressive of taking down videos from any of their videos, anything to do with their slams. And I was posting, I knew I couldn't post videos from matches, but I was posting the interviews after the matches. I thought maybe that'd be okay, and apparently it wasn't. And I got copyright strike, and my account got completely deleted. So I had to rebuild in 2018. And yeah, now I'm back to 3,000 on Instagram. I used to also be on Facebook, but when Instagram got shut down, because Instagram owns Facebook, like the whole thing got shut down. So and just never been a big fan of Facebook anyways, and especially now with all the craziness going on. So I decided just to focus on the Twitter and Instagram. And I've been surprised how fast I grew back up to the 3,000. And then I'm surprised, yeah, from what I hear, that there even is 3,000 on Twitter, and that's every other day or so I'll get it like 10 or something more followers there. And I do focus more on Instagram because I can post longer videos there, and basically any of the pictures, videos, or anything. But yeah, I have had to learn to not think my American thought ways of, yeah, like Twitter's bigger here than Instagram, and Twitter kind of is better for more short updates and stuff like during a match, whereas on Instagram I'll just put the match point or something, whereas I might actually post during the match on Twitter like things that are happening. But I've learned to like tailor my stuff to the audience, and so I have learned to focus more on Instagram, whereas before I knew nothing about Instagram, didn't really use it much. But because that's where the audience is, that's where I've learned to do more and post more and be more active.
So do you know, on Twitter or on Instagram, whatever, what I am more curious on Twitter, what's the percentage of Romanian followers?
There's actually, I have my account hooked into, there's this cool thing that'll tell you like where all your followers are from around the world, and every week it automatically sends an update, like saying, it says something like, thank you to my new followers from, it'll like list the top 3 countries. I think I know it's like easily like 85-90% are Romanians. And then it's actually really cool to see after that what other countries people follow me. And I know it's mostly probably because I give the most and most up-to-date Simona information, so they're probably mostly coming for that rather than everybody else. Like I got a big following in South America. I guess not too shocking from what I've learned, a big following in England and Canada, which I've learned are also 2 places there are a lot of Romanians live as well. So that doesn't too shocking. But then there's like Middle Eastern countries, there's little pockets of followers and stuff. And then so it's kind of cool to see all the different countries, and of course in America. Like I said, I know most of it probably is people wanting Simona information, but it is cool to see that, yeah, there are other countries. I do tailor all my information and stuff for Romanians the best I can, but it's cool to see that it doesn't really bother anybody else around the world who'd like to follow as well.
So you are creating this community of Romanian fans mostly, which I think is, as I mentioned before, fantastic, because you no one did that before you, for Romania, for my country. And
Mhm.
whether we like it or not, and I think we don't quite understand that, in my opinion, we Romanians, but especially in women tennis, we are pretty good at it. I mean,
Mhm.
right now, at the moment, we have 4 players in top 100. And I did a quick research comparing to other huge tennis countries. Let's see
Mhm.
how many players they have in the top 100. And it's shocking. If you
Yeah.
Australia has 2, Spain 4, same as us, Germany 3, Italy 3, France, okay, they have 6, UK 3. I mean, and if you compare the investment on tennis, on sports in general, from Australia to Romania, it's a gigantic difference. And we have 4 players into the top 100. And I think could be 5 at the year end, but I'm maybe optimistic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good to be. Yeah. And I've learned so much about how how the tennis system works in Romania and other countries as well. What shocks me too about that is, the Romania's top players, Simona, Arina Begu, Srana Cristea, they all basically got no help from the Romanian Tennis Federation. They all did this on their own growing up and developing skills on their own. And even today, I talk to the younger Romanian players, and basically all the Romanian Tennis Federation gives them is a place to train at the national campus. Like, aside from that, they get nothing. They get no trainers, they get no health care, like help if they're injured. And so this is all their own passion and their own drive and their own talent that got them there. Whereas Australia pays their players. Like, they get, if they even they lose they get like a paycheck every week, and they get coaches and healthcare and physios, and it's like Australia, like they have this whole system. Like, and England, uh, they also do the same thing. Like Canada, which is a big reason why Bianca Andreescu plays for Canada, is the coachings that was provided to her, the trainers, and the money to go to tournaments and stuff, because Romania didn't have that for her when she was a kid. So her parents raised her in Canada, where she'd have more opportunity. And so to learn stuff like that other countries invest in tennis, whereas Romania literally puts nothing into tennis, but then at the same time wants to promote Simona as this, celebrity figure and the best thing ever. They want their cake and have it and eat it too. Whereas they basically did not support her as a kid, and she just everything on her own. Her father helped pay with his business and everything for her to do everything. And so to see like those numbers of how many top players and that we've had, especially and for a long time too, it's not like just this year you've had this many players. Um, Serrana, Arena, Simona, they've been in the top 100 for years. So like it's to have that longevity, and then like Serrana coming back from injuries plenty of times, and to like have basically no support and do this on their own and have that passion. That's the other part that really is shocked me. And I don't want to say I like to see it. I hate to see that they don't get any support. And even today, the younger players don't get much support. But that's part of the thing I like about the individual, the players themselves, is that passion, is that fire, and that gets them going.
So, as a foreigner, what do you think has been the evolution since you watch of the Romanian tennis? I mean, women.
Because of Simona, there is so much more attention. But at the same time, it's funny. Like, there's like this ownership of Simona, which is weird. I guess I don't know if weird's the word, but like there's this ownership of her. And so she has so many fans that aren't even tennis fans, that just want to see how she's doing. Like, I don't know if that's like an evolution, but like that's just, and that grows every year as she does well. But what I like Simona's been doing, she started doing it last year and has been doing this year, is she's been playing more and training more. And then when she trains, she posts on her social media accounts with younger players. And then like she did at Indian Wells playing with Gabriella Rousset. And it's been cool seeing the other players get more attention. And I've seen, in the years I've seen it, is the players are about the same, but like the attention to them, and tennis seems to, I mean, I'm not in it in the country to see how things are as it is, but it seems just from my end, interest in tennis has skyrocketed, or at least, gotten them so much bigger, and the attention has gotten bigger. Because I know from the questions people ask me, like, hey, when is this person playing, or how did this person do, and it being about other players, not Simona. It has been cool to see the other, whether it has to do with me helping promote getting, because if, like with the main WTA accounts and stuff, like if they're not playing on like the main court, they're not really gonna, tweet updates about a match that a Romanian player was in. So like people ask me questions about other players and stuff. So it's been nice to see like the more diversified, other than just Simona getting the attention, like Gabrielle Rousset this year, who won a tournament and has been doing really well at other places as well. And like, she's a great young player. I love seeing her getting attention, whereas I've been following her for years and knew she could do something like this. And I think she'll do even better. So it's like, I like to see the more attention the other players have been getting in the past couple of years here.
And well deserved.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's a great person. I met her a bunch of years ago. She played a small tournament here in Orlando, Florida, back in 2017, and that's when I first learned of her and met her, and she got a picture with her and a tennis ball signed. She's actually the first tennis player I ever met, which for me was like a cool little thing of a Romanian player being my first tennis player meeting in person. And she was a super nice player, and I watched her at that tournament, and she did well. So, and then watching her through the years, she had a great match against Agnieszka Radwanska at Wimbledon a couple years after that. So, and watching her little smaller tournaments and seeing like these flashes of her being able to be kind of basically what we're seeing now, of her passion and her going after every shot, and her stamina like Simona to basically almost return every shot that comes at her, and to see all of it coming together has been so exciting and great.
And I think next year's will be even better, because now she has the results to prove that she is a great player, to give her even more confidence. Plus the partnership that she had at Indian Wells with Simona Halep, maybe we will see that even more. And she is part of a generation that, how can I say this, did not shine necessarily at 17, 18, but now is coming together at 23, 22, 24, and they are doing amazing things on tour.
Yeah, her and Jacqueline Christian.
Yeah.
And there's also Rena Berra, who does really great. I think she should focus more on doubles. She's, in my opinion, she does better in doubles, but she also plays singles, and she's had some great results, but also had a lot of injuries, and that also sucks. You get this rhythm going of doing well, and then you'll get hurt, and that'll slow down everything, and you basically got to rebuild everything you've been working for confidence wise and everything. And yeah, it seems nice that right now so many of those younger players are starting to come up around the same time and finally getting the results that they've been working for so long. And Simona and like Serena Williams are kind of showing that you can play better later in your age than 10, 20 years ago, when the best players were all like in their early 20s and then retiring in their early 30s. Whereas now players are playing longer. And since they're playing longer, who knows when your best tennis will come. And like Miki Brzezinski, like she's playing the best tennis of her life. I mean, not right now, but like a couple years ago, and like then she got injured, and then now it's rebuilding everything. But like, yeah, she had the best tennis of her life in her 30s, coming back, almost retiring from tennis after major surgery and being away for a couple of years. But yet she's going to have such great success later in her life, and stuff like that. I think is really having players not, I don't want to say give up if they don't see the results, but like it shows that who knows when your window will open, and so to keep working at it. And like Gabrielle Rousset showing now, your results will come eventually. Like, no, it's not guaranteed, but you put in the work, you're going to put yourself in position to have those results.
I love how now Mihaela Buzărnescu, as you said, she won a tournament back in 2018, and then she had another bad injury, and now she's grinding ITFs. She just won one. Before that, went to the final of another one, and sooner will. I think she will come back into the top 100
Yeah,
probably next year, if not this one.
she like I keep coming back to. She has that passion. She's kind of embarrassed about the things she says and does on courts during matches. Thankfully, because I don't speak Romanian, I don't know what she's saying, but I'm told she says some really bad things when she gets angry. And but that's just when you're in the heat of the moment, you're upset, you'll let things out. Yes, she has that drive. She wants to win and she wants to get back. And she's another one of those players who I have a personal relationship with, who I talk to all the time. So like I've gotten to know her off the tennis court too. And she's a very sensitive person. And when she loses, it really hurts her. And so she takes it really not personal, but like she takes it really hard. So she wants to get back. She had that taste of being number 20 in the world, being top 20 and being one of the best players in the world, not just one of the best Romanian players, but one of the best players. She's had that taste of that and beating other top players and going further in slams. And it basically got all taken away from her when she got hurt at US Open in that match. And so I know it wasn't like just like a one-time thing. She has the skills, the mindset, and everything to get back there. And like I actually messaged her asking her why she wasn't playing Indian Wells. It's one of the top tournaments. It's actually a mandatory tournament for most of the players. But she told me she's going to stay in France and keep playing ITS, which I think is good because the first thing she needs to do is build her confidence, because we know she has the skills to be one of the best players, but you got to get your mind there too. And like I said, she's made finals and she's been doing well in the ITS, where she did well before when she first started doing the amazing things. She started in ITS and then transitioned over to WTA, and it seems like she's doing that again, which I think is a smart thing to do. You build your confidence, and then once you get comfortable back on court and back in rhythm, probably next year start playing WTA matches again. I think she could be right back, going back up in the rankings again.
So I think a result of what we talked before, the linear evolution of the quality of Romanian tennis player has been seen, fortunately, with the two WTA events in the same year, this year, the Winners' Open and Transylvania Open. And believe me, as a Romanian, I'm from Bucharest. And every year that there was a WTA, I mean, not every year, but it was a WTA event in Bucharest, the smallest tier possible, 250.
Yeah.
And I think I went almost every year. And last year it was canceled because of the pandemic. And then we found out in the news that the tournament will move to Hungary, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can we have, I think at the time we had like 5 players in top 100 with Anna Bogdan being there and or Patricia Zig, I don't remember exactly, it doesn't matter. And I was like, how can we have such good tennis players and not even a single tournament? And I think Winners Open and Transylvania Open are a blessing, really a blessing. And also the result of what tennis has been in the last years in Romania, because I've been to the Winners Open. Unfortunately, I can't go to the Transylvania Open, but Winners Open has been magnificent. And being able to stand near all these amazing Romanian players, it was one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah, in 2018, I went to the Bucharest Open as well. I've never traveled alone, but I came into large sum of money because the government here owed me money, and they found out like, hey, we owe you this money. We should have been paying you for years. And so I'm like, I have a lot of money right now. I have like $4,000. What can I spend this on? And my therapist at the time is like, well, Romania makes you happy. The Bucharest Open next year. Why not try and go to that? Because that's the other thing I do with this account, is that it's helped with my mental health of being positive and stuff. And Simona's positivity has helped me with my positivity, because I'm also kind of, I don't want to talk bad, but like her, I'm naturally negative. And so I have to work at being more positive. And so my therapist was like, well, the thing that makes you happy is Romania. Why not try and go watch tennis in Romania? And so I've been to the Bucharest Open, and I was shocked. The main court is in the parking lot right next to the main stadium, which is no longer in use because it's in such terrible condition. It's like not even healthy to use. So they built a temporary court in the parking lot. And then all the other all the other outside courts, the smaller courts, are just in the worst condition I've ever seen. I mean, the tournament, I loved it. I had a great, I had a great time. I actually liked being at a smaller. Being in Florida. I've also been to the Miami Open, which is one of the huge tournaments. So I've been to like both sides, the big tournament and a small tournament. I mean, of course, I'm biased because I like Romania and we're being around Romanians and stuff. But I like the smaller tournament more because it's more intimate, more chances to see players because there's not really anywhere there for them to go because everything's so much smaller and compact. There's not all these behind doors places, so it's like easier to see players and stuff, and everybody's together. But yeah, I was shocked to see like you have one of the best players in the world in Simona, who's winning tournaments and slams and everything, and this is basically her home tournament, and I felt it deserved better. Like the people deserve better because the fans were great watching. Simona didn't play that year. She came for a day, but she didn't play. But like it was great seeing the support all the other Romanian players got from the fans and stuff. And I was actually really let down by the state of that tournament. And so I wasn't really shocked when Bucharest lost that tournament. I kind of hoped they would basically do what it's done, is like shock the system and make Romania invest into other tournaments and like to make things better somehow. And which has been like, yeah, the Winners Open looked amazing. That looks like an amazing, like, this place in general, because during the pandemic they held a little exhibition tournament there for the younger players.
Yeah.
And Gabby ended up winning that and playing a doubles match with Horia and Simona and stuff. And so like that's the first time I saw that place, and it looked like a really nice like tennis resort or whatever. And then to see them get a tournament there, and it looked like they did an amazing job just from the outside. I didn't get to see it like firsthand, but it looked like they did an amazing job and looked like a successful event. And I'm glad to see. Then a couple weeks later, they announced they also got the one in Cluj for the Transylvania Open. And then now there's a third one coming. I forget what city, but like, yeah, this year has been amazing. And it's been cool to see. It was sad because the Bucharest Open, like I said, has been for so many years being held, but it kind of sad to see like it being taken away. Kind of shocked the people enough to get them to wake up and say, oh, we got to actually do something. And so like now more tournaments have been coming to Romania because, like I said, they have so many of the top players in the top 100, and like Romania is a real tennis country now, and why not invest in that? And by having tournaments, then you inspire the younger kids, maybe want to start tennis, and who knows, maybe the next Simona Halep comes out of one day because they watched a tournament when they were younger or something. And so like I see it also as like an investment in the future. I wish that they did more, like I said, the federation did more helping one-to-one players, but like having a good start is actually having tournaments there to get people to come watch tennis and get the players to come play tennis. And yeah, it's been great seeing more happening there.
Yeah, this is why I said that we sometimes don't realize that you are actually pretty good at the sport. And Winners Open, fantastic organization, top to bottom was great. And I think Transylvania Open will be even better, even bigger, huge. They play indoor. It's a great arena. I've been inside that arena, but it was not designed as a tennis court then, because they also do a lot of events there. I'm really excited. And the field is great.
Yeah, I was surprised. But I understand why the Winners Open field wasn't this good as well, because it was a clay tournament during, I think it was a hard court season. So like that's the reason Simona gave for not wanting to play. Is like it's a quick switch between courts when you're in this mode, and for one tournament for 1 week, going back to clay and then going back to hard court, like that's not easy for players to keep a rhythm and keep a mindset and everything. So I understand. But at the same time, it's still a smaller tournament. And at the end of the year, when most players are, packing it up and calling it a year, to see like that is a really got to be, in my opinion, one of the best entry lists I've seen for any Bucharest Open. Even back then, it's one of the best I've seen. Even take away Simona, may even also take away Emma, who like is a more recent star. Take away from any of them, still it's one of the best. It should be exciting no matter like who wins. Of course you want one of the Romanians or Simona, but like just everybody else that's showing up, I think is going to be great.
So you've said to me before we hit record that you actually read a lot of Romanian sports tennis press, let's call it like that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? So what do you like, what you don't like?
I I really dislike the Romanian sports press. That it's all about scandal, it's all about drama, it's all about negativity. Like, one of the things that bothers me a lot here recently, well, I don't know about how that I've noticed more recently, because I've probably been doing it for years and I didn't notice, is like Sharon Kirstea, who's doing amazing now, she this year. But anytime they have any news about her, because she's pretty, the top picture of the article will be a sexy picture of her. Whereas, like, that shouldn't be what draws attention to her. And I don't know. I understand that probably gets clicks and like that's how they make money and everything. But like when it's any of the pretty players, it's always the top picture, no matter what the article's about, is always like their Instagram pictures of them in a bikini or a photo shoot or something. Like, it's nothing even tennis related of that player. It's something else where they look pretty. Whereas maybe in like a different section of the website, news or something, I don't know, like, but like this is the sports section. Why not post a picture of them, playing a match or something? And so like and then the salacious headlines that barely have to do with what the actual article is about. Like, they'll say, oh, Simona's really angry about something, and then you'll actually read the article and find out she's angry during the match for like 5 minutes and then cooled down. But like they make it seem like that's the whole thing about the article, and like it's just so much deception to like get people to click, which I know on the internet, for any kind of news organization to stay up, they need to get clicks, and like that's how they make the money. But like it just seems so detrimental to players, and that's why Serrana basically does no press and almost has no presence in social media. She barely posts anymore. And Simona has like a love-hate relationship with the press. She kind of just puts up with it and doesn't pay attention to it, where of course she shouldn't, because they do say such terrible things about her when she loses and make up things. And so like I'm not a big fan, and that's why I try and be the opposite of that and be as positive as I can and find positives. I don't make anything up, and I'll see they'll post rumors and stuff about players that turn out not to be true, and I try and stay away from that. It's just like, so I can understand money wise why they do the stuff they do, but my accounts are proof that there are people who want just actual information about the players in actual tennis. And I don't want to say it doesn't need to be that way, because it might actually need to be that way money wise, but like maybe do both, like actual good, like non-salacious stuff, or always post every time post any sexy picture of Serrana anytime she does good in tennis or anything. Like maybe actually highlight her tennis because she's playing well. And then I read it because that's the source of like any information I might not get anywhere else, because they're right there in the country, and so many of the reporters can actually talk to the players and get stuff from them. So I pay attention in case there's anything I don't know about, but so much of what I see just angers me. And and that's why so many people message me saying thank you for being so positive and sticking to what matters, and not posting rumors about Simona doing this and dating this person, or like I didn't even talk about her wedding, because there were rumors about 2 years ago there's rumors about her getting married after US Open, but I couldn't find any proof of that from anybody I knew who would know anything about it. So why spread rumors that aren't true? I've been burned by doing that in the past, and learned, unless I know for a fact anything's happened, there's no point in spreading a rumor. I mean, I don't make money the way they do. I don't make any money at all, but so I don't need to get those clicks for salacious headlines getting people's attention. So it's more for me, I read it as a necessity because it's the best source of getting anything new I might not know about, but it does get a lot of eye rolls for me every day when I read it.
So this is why I wanted to invite you to talk about tennis and to talk about Romanian tennis, because we share the same feelings, and I appreciate as I mentioned before, the work you've done, not only because you dedicate a lot of time to it, but also because you put relevant information and not bullshit like the
Yeah.
Romanian press does. It's a disgrace. It's a shame. And I think it's bad. I mean, even if we talk money wise, okay,
Hmm.
how does an article talking about how Sorana greatness, how great she was this season, shouldn't, I mean, maybe if you talk about how great she was this season, then she will do more interviews with the
Yeah.
press, and then you will get more clicks because in interviews can be funny or not. They don't have to be like dead serious, and you can
Hmm.
ask intelligent questions that should get clicks and probably will get clicks. If we talk about, oh, okay, clickbait, let's put a
Yeah.
horrendous, out of context picture in the title in the article.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a shame. It's really a shame
Yeah.
because
And I'm not to say like all the Romanian press is bad. I've actually made some friendships with a few reporters, and there are good ones who want to do
yeah,
good
sure,
stuff. And that's how I've also learned that why it is the way it is basically money. And because for years tennis wasn't as popular, they had to find a way to make money to get tennis, and how to get those clicks. But now that they have the top players and they have stuff that is worth reading about, that's other than, hey, Simona's doing this off court with this person, or Serrano went on vacation, here's her pictures. There actually is relevant tennis information and stuff. Now they have so many great young players coming up they could do exclusive interviews with, because it's always, as I've learned, it's really fun to get to know a player when they're young and watch them develop over the years, like I have with Gabriela Rousset. And so like it'd be good to like cultivate those relationships with younger players and report on them as they grow. And like there are better ways of doing it. And it sucks it comes down to money, and it sucks that drama and all this other stuff gets attention. But there's a bigger pool of tennis news and information now to draw from that I think they don't take advantage of.
completely agree. So I have some statistics from this year about
Okay, cool.
top Romanian players, their wins and losses. Of
Hmm.
course, we should contextualize that Simon Halep has had a pretty bad injury, but either
Yeah.
way, her win-loss record is a positive 15 wins, 7 losses, not including Indian Wells. So these are before Indian Wells, basically.
Hmm.
Ruse 29 wins, 14 losses. Jacqueline Christian 28, also ITF level. Irina Begu 7. Also about Irina Begu, so she had, let's call it a good year, maybe average, because yeah, she has been in the final in Cleveland, but at
Hmm.
the start of the year she struggled with an injury. I don't know
Yeah.
if you, I think you probably know because you research a lot about this,
Hmm.
but it was maybe hard to follow, and some more information about this would have been nice because I've seen she had, well, I don't know how this is called in English. Do you know the
uh
mononucleosis?
oh yeah, 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 we just basically call it mono, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the
So
disease she had, yeah. And I have a friend who's a doctor who helped explain, like, yeah, that takes your stamina away, makes it to where you get really tired, which is all terrible things for tennis because you're going to be playing for 2 hours probably in the heat and running and stuff. And so like it takes your energy, it takes your spirit away. And I was surprised she kept playing as long as she did with it, because probably because they want to keep playing. I don't know, maybe she has other commitments. She said, hey, I'm going to play this tournament, so like 6 months ago I said I was going to play this tournament, and so like now I kind of have to show up. So like I don't know the behind the scenes stuff, but I was just, yeah, on the outside looking in, surprised. And at the same time, when she actually did actually said like, hey, this is what's going on, I've been sick and I have mononucleosis, it kind of made sense and put everything in a better light of understanding why it's like, I mean, she's had off year, really bad years in the past and struggled. That's not something out of the ordinary, but like, yeah, you could tell there was something going on. And then finding out what actually was happening, made more sense and was, I don't want to say was good because once she recovered, maybe she'd get better. Like, I don't want to say it's good she got sick, but it was good to learn there's something going on. It's not like all of a sudden, hey, her skills went away. There's an outside force causing this. But yeah, and then now she seems healthy. Yeah, doing amazing in Cleveland. She got some good wins in Indian Wells. Shelby Rogers, that was not a bad loss. I mean, it was a bad loss score wise, but Shelby Rogers has been playing amazing.
Yeah, she defeated Barty, so
Yeah, she did super well at US Open. So that's I mean, I can't fault her for losing the match. I wish she would have played a little better. I wish the score would have been better, not 6-love, 6-2. But at the same time, who you're playing against, who's playing amazing right now, you can kind of understand that kind of loss.
So going a little bit back, because I want to highlight this, I also had the mono, as you called it, and it's fortunately for me, I had a really mild case, but I also know people around me who had it, and it's kind of, I mean, you can feel bad for a week, and then the next week you feel better, you feel energized, you think that you have gone past it, and then a month after you still have some side effects, and I think that's pretty much what happened to her, because if I remember correctly, she has been diagnosed around the spring or even February. And then at Roland Garros and before the Olympics, she said that she still struggles.
Yeah, so, I remember talking about it before the Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah, I at the moment, as you said, you kind of knew something was off. I mean, you could have guessed, but I don't know why tennis media in Romania didn't manage to find more about this. I mean, probably she did not want to let everybody know. I don't know. Maybe if it's a private decision, it's her call, obviously. But well, Kirsta, 23 wins, 17 losses, and if we look at the WTA race, which basically means top players this year, she's been the best Romanian player.
Yeah, I made a tweet about this a couple months ago when Serrano was doing amazing and going further in tournaments and Simona was injured at the same time. Like I said, in January, if you'd have told me that Serrano Cristea would be making at the time, I put the actual stat of how many quarterfinals she had made, and Simona had only made 2 or something. And I said, if you would have told me this, I would have said you're lying, because of the disparity of how their careers have been going every year. Simona kept going up, and Serrano was basically either staying the same or going down. But yeah, it's been amazing and fun watching Serrano do so well. And like I said, I even said this yesterday, I've never seen her play. As long as I've been a Romanian tennis fan, she's never played this well. And it's been exciting to see, because I know there are 2 sets of fans. There are Serrano fans and there's Simona fans, and they sometimes don't get along because they're such 2 big stars. And I don't know, people love rooting for one player or team and rooting against one player and team. So I know there's a huge pool of Serrano fans that have been waiting for this kind of explosion of her talents and results. And so it's been cool to see. You've been watching for years her put this work in of trying with different coaches and different play styles and different serves. She's put in all this work of getting there, and this year is finally getting those results. Has been so great and fun to watch.
She's been great. I mean, maybe a bad day, as I told you before, to record about Romanian women tennis, but on the other side, all those 3 losses, I think, were positive ones. I mean, there were not losses against a player that it's in her first WTA match or something like that. Kirsta almost defeated the bronze medalist.
Yeah.
And Elena Svitolina, as Simona Halep, she's been an element of consistency along the years. Maybe not at Simona's level. Simona's level has been higher in my eyes. She has 2 slams. Svitolina has 0, but still, Bago lost against Rogers, which I think when she plays at 100%, she could literally beat anyone.
Yeah. I think one of the best American players easily, especially right now when there aren't many. Yeah, definitely.
And Simona Halep, she's still coming back after the injury. She had a lot of, I mean, I obviously don't know that, but I think she had a lot of emotions this year because of her first major injury, let's call it like that. Then she got married. Then the split with Darren Cahill, which I don't think it was because of some bad misunderstandings, they thought it was time, and so be it. I mean, I didn't have a problem with that as long as they both feel it was the right thing to do. But maybe on some level, I think it probably affected her. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like this year more than any, she's had more stuff going on
Yeah.
off court. Whereas other years she was dead set focused. It's this time of year, it's January through November, so that means I'm only thinking about tennis. Whereas this year, and also last year, because of pandemics stopping tennis, and then this year through injury, and then Darren, so it's like it seems like she's had more drama and more happening, and her wedding, which isn't drama, but like just more going on off court. Maybe it kind of is that way other years and we just didn't hear about it, but it seems like this year in particular, she's had more time off court and more time to lose focus, her focus taken away, which she's talked about. Like before she left Running Well, she said, I have no pressure, I don't expect any results. Like she was honest in saying, like, I haven't played much, anything I win is a plus, and I'm not gonna be too down on myself if I lose, because I've barely played tennis this year and I just came back from a major injury that she thought at the time maybe might end her career or something, and because it was such a major injury. So it's like it's been such a terrible year for her, but we know she can come back. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the off season, especially with coaching. I really hope she gets a better coach. She deserves a top coach. I also don't think there was any negativity. Knowing Darren and knowing Simona, we've seen in the past them clash, like at Miami when he did leave her after that match where she kind of blew up and he said, hey, I can't work with you if you're going to be this negative. Like we've seen that, and this doesn't look like something like that happened. I honestly personally think it was just him tired of traveling so much and being away, because like we've seen also in the past, he did stop because he's like, hey, my son's going to college, I only have 6 months to be with him before he leaves, so I don't feel like traveling. And so that's when she hired Daniel Dobre and stuff. And so like we've seen, he's not been a huge fan of the travel, like the whole year being away from his family. So I think that was a major part of it too, is Simona said she wants to keep playing for a couple more years. She's not thinking about retirement right now. Yeah, she's happy she got married and stuff, but she's not thinking about kids right now. She's thinking about, hey, 3 or 4 years, I definitely want to keep playing. And maybe Darren, like they've talked about it, and he's like, Darren's like, hey, I've helped you for 6 years. I don't know how much more I can help you. I mean, you've been world number 1, you've won slams, you've won countless tournaments. Maybe you need a new voice. And I also don't feel like being away from my family for 8 months of the year. I've been doing it for 6 years. It's kind of my time. So I think, and she, of course, she can respect that. She's the same way. Any chance she can go back to Romania, she always does. You can always see you can see she doesn't seem to stay at tournaments longer after she loses. She seems to be back home as soon as possible. And like I've read articles where they asked her, like, hey, why don't you live in a different country where there's less taxes and stuff like some other players do? And she's like, no, I'm Romanian. I love being in Romania. This is my home and I want to stay here. So like I can see her agreeing with Darren, hey, I've asked you to do this with me for 6 years. If you're not feeling up to it, I can't be angry at you for not wanting to do it. And she even said in a press conference here recently that they still talk. I mean, they're not like, okay, we're done, let's never talk again. He's going to be at the Australian Open next year. Hopefully she'll be there. I don't know what the conditions, like COVID wise, if that's going to affect her decision, I don't know. But because he still does TV, like there's still going to be chances for them to be together and talk and, be friends. And he might give her some tips like, hey, I saw your last couple matches and maybe you need to be more aggressive or blah, blah, blah. So like, they're not dead to each other. Yeah, we've seen how great they are when they're together every day and working together. But yeah, I agree all this off-court stuff, it has hopefully be done with by next year. And like I said, with Australia and the COVID thing, who knows what happened there. So who knows when our season will start. But it hopefully next year can be for everybody. Hopefully the world will get better with COVID. I don't know, some weeks things look like they're getting worse. Some weeks they're maybe getting better with new medications and people actually taking them and whatever. And so hopefully next year for her, she'll hopefully be healthy. I actually think the COVID affected her way more than I don't know if she's willing to admit, but like publicly, I think it affected her, and that's what helped her get the injuries she did. because COVID does affect your body everywhere. And then she caught COVID, and she even said back then it was a pretty bad case. She couldn't smell things, couldn't taste things, so she had a pretty bad case. Thankfully, it wasn't like life-threatening, but like she had the symptoms. So I think that's what led to the injuries and stuff that took her away from tennis. And then hopefully we can get past that, and new year, new start, and everything hopefully get back to normal next year.
I definitely think that she and Darren ended the partnership on good terms, and I also think that with how I've seen her in interviews and media and doing press recently, she looks extremely happy, and I think she's extremely happy that the injury is in the past and she's looking to at the future, and I think she will have some great results in 2022.
My favorite thing I've ever read about from her was last year. I want to say it was around the Prague Open, which she ended up winning. It was like as she was doing press and stuff, she was saying, because before that there's like 3-4 months where everything just shut down, everybody went home, and tennis was closed. And she was asked about that, like, hey, what do you do at home, and blah blah blah. And she said, I was bored. I hated being home every day. And that's kind of what motivated for her to say, like, I want to keep playing. Because she's now had like a small preview of what maybe retiring would be like. And she said she was bored. She said, yeah, I didn't pick up a racket for maybe 2-3 weeks. But she said she tried cooking. She didn't like that. She tried reading and got bored. Like she said, I was bored at home. I couldn't wait to get back on and playing tennis. And like, I love to see that. Yeah, you could tell that she still has that passion. It wasn't a lack of passion or anything that caused this terrible year. It was her body basically failing on her. And like I said, I think COVID had a big hand in that. And now that she's getting healthier, and as she gets healthier and more confident and wins matches and gets comfortable on court, the results that we know she can win, get, will come back with it.
What's next year gonna look like for Romania WTA tennis?
I think the biggest surprise easily will be Jacqueline Christian. I've been following her for many years. I thought she would. Yeah, me too. I actually thought what Gabriela Rousset is doing right now, I thought Jackie would do first, because she is a little bit more aggressive. Gabby is doing better now, I think, because she's also better at being more defensive and returning shots than Jackie is. But at the same time, Jackie is having amazing results right now too. She's like right behind her. Every week, her and Gabby are getting new career highs in the ranking. They're both doing amazing. And I kind of hope they start playing doubles together again, because for years on ITFs they'd play doubles together, and that was fun to watch. And like I wouldn't say no to more Simona and Gabby playing doubles, because I know that was so fun to watch and the crowd was amazing. But Simona's not going to want to play doubles every week because she likes to focus her energy on singles. And I know, like, when I went to the Bucharest Open in 2018, Jackie and Gabby played doubles together, and I think they made either semifinal or final. And so, like, I know they have a great chemistry. So I think next year the two things will be younger players continuing and getting better, because I know they both, like, we're getting a glimpse of it now. Next year, because Gabby's big thing is she needs experience. She's played so many years on the ITF with lower tier players, which she needs to get the losses like she got at Indian Wells. Like, you learn from those matches and you see, okay, I need to be more aggressive here. I need to, do this and that against these top players. Whereas ITF aren't always the best players. Like, you learn more from losses against better players. And as she does that, it'll help her confidence, it'll help her game, and she'll just, because I know she's got the talent. We've seen that she's already won when she won in Hamburg. She played some amazing players to get that title. That was no, I don't think that was a fluke, and I don't think that was an accident that she was able to win that tournament. And like I said, I think Jackie will be right behind her. And I think if they wanted to, they could have the same type of results in doubles, because doubles is even more of like a mess. There are a couple really great top teams, but if you get a good partner and start winning a couple tournaments, you could easily get the top 10 in doubles as well. And I know they have the chemistry and been playing for years together. I think they could also do that. And then I really, really, really hope there's more growth and better results from Sharana. I think, like I said, Sharana, like the WTA race is basically the rankings for this year. So it's like it's a better thing to look at if you want to know, hey, how is this player doing this year? Whereas the actual WTA official rankings isn't a really good, judge of like how's this player doing now. It's more of compared to this time over the past 52 weeks, and like it doesn't really tell you. It's not a good judge. Whereas the race is a better judge. And yes, Sharana has been way better than any other Romanian, and her results. I'm hoping. I don't know what's going on with her coaching situation. She seems to want a really good coach, and she deserves a really good coach, and she's been trying out these new coaches, and so I hope she can get a more stable, like definite coaching. I think that would help rather than it seems like some weeks she has one coach and then a couple tournaments later she has a new coach, and so I think that would help getting like a more constant voice. But I think next year, if she stays healthy, which this year she stayed healthy, and so and it might be controversial, but I think Simona's old physio, Teo, coming and working for her team, I think is no accident of why Sharana now has been so healthy and having the results she's had. Like we saw when he worked with Simona for years, Simona barely had any injuries, and like Teo knows what he was doing, and seeing him now bring that over to Sharana, and she's had like one or two small like leg injuries here and there, but that might just be because her body's not used to playing this many matches and during the year, because she normally doesn't go this deep into tournaments. And so it might just be, just stress injuries. But I think Teo has really worked well with her body and her getting her in shape and maybe working on the right muscles to not get injured anymore. And I think it's a big part. And just as more time goes and get some rest in the off season, I think Sharana, she's already getting, I think she's in the top 40. I think she'll keep going up. Hopefully, she's had some good results in Australia before. Hopefully do even better. So I think that the main things to look at will be Sharana. I mean, Simona, who knows? Like I don't want to say expect her to do well, because like as this year you could have said the same thing. Okay, now we're done with the COVID season, let's start a real season. Simona, I expect her to do well. So you never know. But like aside from Simona, I think the two big things that'll happen, hopefully the younger players like Jackie and Gabby will continue their rise in the top 100 and keep that going. Hopefully Mickey will come back on the WTA tour after winning ITF and get back to the level we know she can get at. And so like we might see even more than 5 or 6 Romanians in the top 100. We'll see on both ends the lower 100s move up, and then like Sharana, hopefully Begu will continue to get healthy and get better. And next year should be really exciting to watch the Romanian players, to see who moves up and who matures, like the younger players, and comes up. And like I said, it'll be great because I know these players are tired and they need the rest and everything. So I'm like, I'm not saying I'm looking forward to the end of the season, because it's been a crazy year and they need the rest, but I know next year should be really exciting, and there's just so many different storylines going on of what could happen, and seeing which ones develop and which ones don't, and who does this and who does what.
So quick story, because if you're watching this on TV or streaming, you have no idea about this, but I was at the Winners Open and I watched live on Stadium. Andrea Petkovic defeated Jacqueline Christian. It was a very good match. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think that if Christian would have had an easier draw, maybe she could have advanced to the semifinals or whatever, doesn't matter now. But immediately after she lost, so I was standing, well, I don't know how to explain, but I had a view on my left downside, let's call it like that, in a practice court. And 10 minutes after Jacqueline lost, was on the practice court with her coach. By the way, he's a pretty good coach on the tour. And she was back with serving, with forehand, with a lot of drills. And I'm sure more players do that, but because I've seen that, I was really impressed.
Especially with the younger player, you think they might let their emotions take over. I lost, let's just get away, let's go back to the hotel or whatever and just get my mind off it. It's inspiring to see, like, her, maybe she probably thought, hey, I could have done this better, let's work on this. I need to get right back on the court. I need to I know what I did wrong and I want to fix it, or like, yeah, I've seen other players do that as well. And to see, especially with the younger players, to see that you can see they are in the right mindset and that's the right way to go about it. And that, yeah, like that's something to definitely pay attention to. And you can see that she's a real tennis player and she cares. Like, it's not like some players you might think, like I see, and I think they're just doing it for the money or the attention or whatever. And because their country will pay them to help their career keep going or whatever. But like, where there are other players you see, they care, they want to be, they have that passion. And yeah, that's why I say I thought Jackie might, raise faster than Gabby did, because you could see she had the talent. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me to hear you say you saw her doing something like that, because from what I've seen, just watching her over the years and paying attention, that I believe that 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 wasn't like a one-time thing. That's probably something she does every time she loses or something, because and then we see like now she's getting results and stuff. And so yeah, that I like to hear that, and I believe it happened just from what I know, of her.
So let's end this podcast with one last question. Actually, let's have a quick game. So I want you, because I think you know, to guess what player do I have in mind, a younger Romanian tennis player that I think will be really good, maybe not next year, but in the future. I give you a hint, she's 21.
Yeah, I don't know the ages. So that, yeah, that doesn't, I don't really like, I don't pay attention to those type of stats, because like someone called me out a couple weeks ago of me calling Gabrielle Rousset a young player. But to me, because she hasn't played much on the actual W Tour, she is a young player. But other people think of early 20s or late teens as a young player. So yeah, age doesn't help.
Okay, then she's right now on ranking 360 something, I think.
300. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I know of a couple of because like I know there's part of it too is I don't know how to say some of these names because I only read them and type them. I don't actually say them out loud. And then I mainly focus on the top like 200.
Okay, so I will tell you. Andrea Prisacariu.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've talked to her. I watched her in the Bucharest Open when I went. She played qualifying and then didn't make it past qualifying. And the thing yeah, she was impressive then. I haven't seen much of her since because I don't pay as much attention to the ITFs, aside from here and there when something like really gets my attention. But I follow her on Instagram, and I follow her results and get information about her. I think, yeah, she seemed, from what I have seen, I think she could, because I think she also got injured a couple years ago too. I think from what little I've seen, I could definitely see that happen. She seemed like a good strong hitter when I watched her play in this qualifying match, and like most Romanians, moves around the court really well and has that kind of stamina. I that wouldn't surprise me from what little I do know of her. And of course, I'm always excited when there are younger players that I don't know about to learn about them. So yeah, I do know a little bit about her, so that wouldn't surprise me, and I would love to see more of her, definitely.
So last year she was ranked 600 and something. Now she's 300
wow.
and something.
Yeah.
Because yeah, and I hopped on the ITF side because she didn't. I don't think she played any WTA matches this year. But whatever, doesn't matter. On the ITF level, she has 61 wins this year.
Wow.
61 wins this year and 19 losses.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Impressive. Yeah, that's like when Mickey won 7 tournaments in a row in the ITFs. Like that's the type of stuff that has to get my attention, and it has to be, great for her confidence and building her skills. And yeah, hopefully, keep doing that. And hopefully, yeah, we'll see her in WTA tournaments, the smaller tournaments, of course, that's where you start out, and hopefully see her soon. I don't think she's going to be at the Transylvania Open in qualifying. I didn't memorize that list, so I don't know if we'll see her there. But like I saw her in Bucharest, so I know she's played a couple smaller WTA tournaments. But yeah, like that's not an accident of that many wins and those that kind of jump in the ranking. So like hopefully that'll continue and yeah, get to see more of her.
This was great. Thank you for coming in, Philip, and wish you all the best and in what you do in also maintaining this tennis community active. If you don't know, follow him, WTA Romania, right? On both
Yeah.
Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram, there's it's a little bit harder to find because my account got shut down and I had to find a new way of putting the name. So it's WTA Romania, but it's WTA, then the little underscore, the little line that goes underneath, and then Romania. But even if you just type in WTA Romania in the search, it should show up. And then yeah, on Twitter, it's just all one word, WTA Romania. And yeah, it's been great. Like I said, getting to meet people, like it what led to me and you starting a conversation and doing this. It like even aside from tennis, like it has been fun meeting people and learning more about Romania and making friendships and stuff. So like that's also what keeps me going because yeah, I'll get sad and depressed and stuff, but like talking to people and getting to know people and learning about a whole different culture has been so fun. And then to have the tennis to come back to of being like that's the focal point and then everything comes away from that has been super fun and why I keep doing it even if I have setbacks where my account gets shut down or so I'll just start a new one and keep going and people seem to enjoy it and encouraging me to keep going and saying like I'm the main place they come for information and I love to hear that and the support I get. It's been good for my body and my soul as well as just being entertained by watching tennis.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear this. So go follow this man because he puts tremendous work into this, into keeping this community alive, and also is a very, very, very reliable source of information. So thank you, Philip, once again for doing this. I'm sure we'll talk again. And thank you guys for tuning in to watch this special, this different episode. Wish you a lovely day.